Hey there, all you beautiful Broadway babies! Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is episode 46 of Broadway Jeopardy! If you're a fan of Broadway, musical theater history, or nerdy bearded guys, hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. I've got 26 all-new clues ready to test your musical-loving minds, so let's jump right into this week's game. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Looking at our categories for the week, we start off as always with last week's final Jeopardy category, which is Break a Leg, looking at times in musicals where someone has broken a bone. That's followed by Hey Ferb. Here we're looking at a song from the animated Disney Channel show Phineas and Ferb, where several different musicals are visually referenced. This is not a hard category, but hopefully a fun one. After that, we have Dress to Impress. In this category, we're looking at some dresses seen or mentioned in musicals. Then it's Mirror Mirror, looking at some mirrors used in shows. And last but not least, we have Multiple Movies, looking at some properties that have had more than one movie adaptation made. And we end with the final Jeopardy round, so make sure and keep track of your scores so you can wager some or all of it on that final question. We begin, of course, with the $200 round, or the overture round as I call it, where the questions tend to be easier to help you rack up some fake dough before I callously steal it back from you with the harder questions later in the game. Let's begin in the Break a Leg category, where your first $200 clue is: in this new movie-based musical, Madeline Ashton falls down the stairs in spectacular fashion, breaking her neck, but is still alive somehow. What is Death Becomes Her? One of the big questions I had before seeing the show was how in the world are they going to pull off the big fall down the staircase from the film? And I'll tell you, they went all out for the musical version. Moving on to Hey Ferb, for $200, this is the musical being visually referenced in the video clue. Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. What is Fiddler on the Roof? The animated TV show Phineas and Ferb aired on the Disney Channel from 2007 to 2015, consisting of 4 seasons, though the show is making a comeback with 2 new seasons that'll begin airing this June. I had actually never seen an episode of Phineas and Ferb before working on this week's episode of Broadway Jeopardy. What did I think? Well, I'll tell you next clue. I gotta stretch this Phineas and Ferb thing out over 5 clues. What are you gonna do? Hey Ferb, hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. The $200 clue in the Dress to Impress category is: in this Disney-produced musical, NERDS proudly proclaims that a dress has always been her strongest suit. What is Aayita? Princess NERDS begins the show as a shallow character obsessed with fashion, as seen in the super catchy song Strongest Suit, which featured an extended fashion show with great costumes by Bob Crowley, who also provided the Tony-winning sets for the musical. You don't see very many out-of-nowhere fashion shows in musicals nowadays. It always makes me think of movie musicals like Singin' in the Rain. But the frivolity of Strongest Suit in Aayita is not actually random. It helps show NERDS' journey from materialistic princess to wise and just ruler. Taking a glance at the Mirror Mirror category gives us the $200 clue. The famous magic mirror of fairy tale fame helps Lord Farquaad find a princess in this musical based on the animated film of the same name. What is Shrek? The mirror in Shrek was actually an extraordinary theatrical feat unto itself. After viewing the mirror in the stage show, you might have just assumed it was a pre-recorded bit since the character is fully CGI, but it was actually done live every performance. John Tartaglia, who was Pinocchio in the original Broadway cast, also played the magic mirror, and he would have to remove all his makeup and prosthetics for Pinocchio and would have 26 very precise motion capture dots applied to his face, and a high-tech camera would film him for a live motion capture performance. And finishing up the overture round in the multiple movies category with the $200 clue. This classic musical from 1977 has had 3 different film versions, one featuring Carol Burnett, one featuring Kathy Bates, and another featuring Cameron Diaz. What is Annie? Annie's 3 film versions happened in 1982 with Carol Burnett as Miss Hannigan, in 1999 in a made-for-TV version for Disney with Kathy Bates as Hannigan. That version is much closer to the stage show than the original 1982 film. And in 2014 with a very changed version that had Cameron Diaz as Miss Hannigan. When I did one of the many national tours of Annie, director Martin Charnin, who wrote the lyrics for the show as well, was there often, and we were told not to bring up either the 82 or 99 film versions of Annie, as apparently Mr. Charnin was not a big fan of either. This was well before the 2014 version, and I can't imagine how he felt about that one. Or rather, I can imagine how he felt about that one. I hope you all stomped on that first round. Let's move on to the only slightly harder $400 round now. Circling back to Break a Leg, your first $400 clue is... In Mean Girls, Regina George breaks her spine but does not die when this happens to her. What is hit by a bus? Yes, just as in the iconic 2004 film, Regina George is hit by a bus. They achieved this on Broadway with a fast-moving sort of fabric set piece, like a jetting out curtain, and a projection of Regina's body flying through the air. Later in the show, Regina, who did not die, appears in a halo brace decked out for the prom.
I'm sorry, I never meant to take your fake apology. Run up tight and showed up your back.
Your $400 video clue in the Hey Ferb category is... Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. What is The King and I? So this clip of the song Hey Ferb and all the clips from this category are from the season 2 episode of the Disney Channel show called Roller Coaster the Musical. This is a musical version of the show's very first episode called Roller Coaster. When I learned that the show remade their first episode, but this time as a musical, I knew I was gonna love it, and I did. It's a very cute and clever show that I will probably go back and watch more of if I'm being honest. Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. Opening up our closets to the Dress to Impress category and the $400 clue. This short-lived show about a real-life royal featured many iconic outfits, including a fairy tale wedding dress, a black sheep sweater, and an infamous revenge dress. What is Diana? Princess Diana was known for many things, including her fashion, which played a big part in Diana the musical. Diana's many fashion statements are highlighted in songs like Pretty Pretty Girl, where Diana embraces her fashionable self, and of course in the song The Dress, where she wears the legendary black revenge dress, though they called it something much different in the show. And I can only show you this clip here because they sanitized the language for the pro shot, but you can tell what the actual lyrics were in the stage show.
When a girl needs to express her proper state of distress, revenge looks best in an FU dress. A feckity, 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 FU dress.
The $400 clue in the Mirror Mirror category is... In a number from A Chorus Line, Cassie sings that all she ever needed was the music and the mirror and this. What is The Chance to Dance for You? Though I'll give you the full points if you just said The Chance to Dance. This is of course from Cassie's big song in A Chorus Line called The Music and the Mirror.
All I ever needed was the music and the mirror and the chance to dance.
And the final $400 clue in the multiple movies category is... Both Rita Moreno in the original and Ariana DeBose in the remake won Oscars for playing this role in West Side Story. Who is Aayita? This was the third time in Oscars history that two people have won an Oscar for playing the same role in separate films. The first was the role of Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando in The Godfather and Robert De Niro in The Godfather Part 2, two of my all-time favorite movies, he said, surprising no one. And the second instance was the character of the Batman villain, the Joker, played by Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight and Joaquin Phoenix in Joker. Leaping right into the $600 round now, back at Break a Leg, your first $600 clue is in Dear Evan Hansen. Evan has a broken arm, and this is the name of the only person who signed his cast. What is Connor? For the Broadway run of Dear Evan Hansen, the actor in the leading role did indeed have to have his arm set in a real medical arm cast every performance, which had to be literally sawed off during intermission. I do own one of the many arm casts from Broadway, and you can clearly see that Connor is written in big bold letters. This is one of the real arm casts, and as you can see, it's been sawed off in the middle there for him to get his arm off. Crazy. Let's see what musical is being referenced in the Hey Ferb category with the $600 video clue.
Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today.
What is Oklahoma? As I mentioned earlier, all the clips are from the episode called Roller Coaster the Musical. In the episode, Phineas and his stepbrother Ferb, a kid of few words, decide to build a roller coaster again in their backyard, but this time do it as a musical. And it was so fun to watch the first roller coaster episode so I can appreciate when scenes like this.
Aren't you a little young to be a roller coaster engineer?
Yes I am.
Well, I must say I'm very impressed.
Were turned into scenes like this.
Aren't you a little young to build a roller coaster?
Yes, I am.
Well, I must say that I'm really quite impressed.
Over in the Dress to Impress category, your next $600 clue is in Jonathan Larson's Tick Tick Boom. John sings about how good Susan looks in her new dress that's this color. What is Green? The song in question from Tick Tick Boom is appropriately called Green Green Dress, and it is a favorite among fans of the musical. So when it was announced that the song had been cut from the upcoming film adaptation from Lin-Manuel Miranda, fans were in an uproar. Miranda explained that the song just didn't move the plot forward and didn't reveal any new information, so it had to be cut. In the musical's original three-person form, numbers like Green Green Dress are fine because there simply aren't that many characters or ideas to introduce, but when expanding the piece into a fully fleshed out biopic, songs like Green Green Dress had to be removed. The song was filmed for the movie though, and footage was released after the movie came out as a bonus feature.
Green, green dress, 20 buttons and a strap. With green, green dress, what a pleasure to unwrap.
The $600 clue in the Mirror Mirror category is among the many hit songs performed in this jukebox musical about one of the greatest and most controversial pop stars in history is the song Man in the Mirror. What is MJ? MJ the musical about the king of pop Michael Jackson opened on Broadway in 2022 and is still going strong. The musical takes place in 1992 before any of Jackson's infamous legal troubles started, during the preparations for his Dangerous tour with flashbacks to his earlier life as a member of the Jackson 5 and his coming into his own as a solo act. The musical has a book by two-time Pulitzer winner Lynn Nottage. And over in the multiple movies category, your $600 clue there is Robert Preston famously reprised his role of Harold Hill in the 1962 film version of The Music Man. For the 2003 made-for-TV version, this actor assumed the leading role. Who is Matthew Broderick? The Disney Channel remake of The Music Man aired in 2003 with Broderick starring alongside Kristen Chenoweth, Victor Garber, and Molly Shannon. Though this TV movie take on the classic musical is very pretty and has some great performances in it, in my humble opinion, it doesn't quite reach the greatness of Disney's 1999 Annie remake, and certainly doesn't hold a candle to the original film, but you know, what could? I don't think the original Music Man film could be improved on, unlike Annie, whose original film definitely had room to be improved. Okay, it's time to crank up the difficulty level with the $800 round now. But before we do, if you're enjoying this week's game, please do me the honor of hitting that like button for me. It really helps with these videos getting shown to more fine folks like yourselves, but also makes me feel like a million fake dollars. Thanks everyone, I really do appreciate it. Alrighty, let's get cracking with the $800 round now. Back at the break a leg category, your clue there is: in the plot of this smash hit musical, performer Franz falls down the stairs and breaks his leg, causing Roger, the show within a show's director, to step into the leading role. What is The Producers? Franz is Franz Liebken, the author and subsequent star of Springtime for Hitler in The Producers, originated by wonderful character actor Brad Oscar. Max and Leo, in an attempt to sync their new show, wish everyone good luck on opening night, which is very bad luck, and it works because Franz falls down and breaks his leg, causing the musical's director, Roger Debris, to step in at the last minute. Though it's Roger Debris' over-the-top performance in the title role that causes Springtime to be a hit instead of the catastrophe it might have been as originally planned. Let's see what Phineas and Ferb are cooking up with the $800 video clue.
Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do.
What is The Music Man? The episode Roller Coaster the Musical features 8 songs, though some are not very long, an impressive feat for only 22-minute episode. Other songs from the episode are titled You're Going Down, sung by Candace, the older sister determined to get the boys in trouble, What You Doin', sung by love-struck Isabella, and Backen Gimmelstump, sung by the nefarious Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, a villain who battles the boys' pet platypus named Perry, who's really a secret agent. A lot going on in this kid's show. The $800 clue in the Dress to Impress category is: in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Rosemary wants to impress Ponzi with her new dress, only to find that all the women in the office are wearing the same outfit in this number from the show. What is Paris Original? Another really fun number that was cut for the film version, like Green Green Dress. As the clue stated, Rosemary buys a one-of-a-kind Paris Original and is really feeling her oats until one by one the other ladies in the office come in wearing the same one-of-a-kind dress.
This irresistible Paris Original I'm wearing tonight. Ah, she's wearing tonight, and I could spit.
Going back to the 1970s with the Mirror Mirror category in the $800 clue. In Follies, Stella and the rest of the girls perform this number, often referred to as the Mirror Song, while the ghosts of their younger selves mirror their actions. What is Who's That Woman is the correct response. As the clue stated, Who's That Woman is often referred to as Mirror Mirror or just the Mirror Song, and it's one of the musical's more fun numbers, with the women performing one of their old Weissman Follies numbers alongside the ghosts of their younger selves. Leading the number is the character of Stella Deems, who was originated on Broadway by Mary McCarty, a former child star who, after Follies, would create the role of matron Mama Morton in the original production of Chicago. Over in the multiple movies categories, your $800 clue there is: Howard Keel and Katherine Grayson starred in the third film adaptation of this groundbreaking musical in 1951, which also had a silent film version in 1929 and a more faithful screen version in 1936. What is Showboat? Yes, 3 versions of Showboat were made. The first, a somewhat silent film version, might be a bit confusing. I mean, a silent version of a musical? What? But a film version of Showboat was being made with no connection to the musical, just an adaptation of the original Edna Ferber novel. But then when the musical came out in 1927 and proved to be a big hit, the silent film producers utilized this newfangled talking pictures thing going around and added some of the show's music to the opening of the film in a prologue and added 2 songs from the show during the movie itself. But as a lot of theaters in America weren't equipped for sound yet, a fully silent version of the film was produced as well. The 1936 1996 version of Showboat is by far the best version of the show, even containing some of the original cast members of Showboat in their original roles. The 1951 version is certainly the more well-known one, but it's been so Hollywoodized and it's really not the same beast as the stage show. And now we've reached that point, the big show, the main event. It's the $1,000 round. Where's that dramatic music? Best of luck, players. Breaking out the break a leg category one last time brings us the $1,000 clue. In 42nd Street, this stage diva breaks her ankle, giving her fresh-faced understudy a chance to be a star. Who is Dorothy Brock is the right response. The snooty stage diva with 2 left feet and 1 broken ankle was originated on Broadway by Tammy Grimes. She was played in the original London production by Georgia Brown, and for the Broadway revival in 2001, it was Christine Ebersol who played the part, winning a Tony Award for the role. When I saw the revival back when I was in high school, I remember that... Hey, I'm not that old. Anyway. As I was saying, when I saw it, Christine Ebersol was out that performance, and I was so upset that I had an understudy. The understudy turned out to be future Tony winner and one of my favorite actresses of all time, Beth Level. So, you know, try not to fret if you get an understudy when seeing a show. You never know. I know what we're gonna do today in the Hey Ferb category with the $1,000 video clue.
Hey Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today.
What is Westside Story? The final song in Roller Coaster the Musical is called Carpe Diem and was sort of a parody of the songs heard in the popular High School Musical series, also from the Disney Channel. In fact, Kenny Ortega, the man behind the High School Musical films, as well as many other beloved musicals made for young audiences like the Descendants series, the original Newsies, and Hocus Pocus, makes an appearance in the number as himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, world-renowned choreographer Kenny Ortega.
Thanks, Phineas. All right, everyone, in this last chorus, let's really hit that straight arm like this, okay? Straight arm on both sides. All right, now, performance level. 5, 6, 7, 8!
Time to think pink in the Dress to Impress category with the $1,000 clue. According to Elle Woods in the musical version of Legally Blonde, this is the reason you can't use a half-loop stitch on China silk. What is It'll Pucker? This is a slight deviation from the beloved 2001 film version. There, Elle asks the sneaky saleswoman if the dress is low viscosity rayon with a half-loop stitch on the hem. Either way, it's a brilliant early scene in the film and musical that shows Elle's cunning and intelligence without some shoehorned in exposition.
Right, with a half-loop stitch on China silk? Uh-huh. But the thing is, you can't use a half-loop stitch on China silk. It'll pucker. And you didn't just get this in because I saw it in last May's Vogue.
Oh my God, here it does.
I am not about to buy last year's dress at this year's price.
Elle saw right through that salesgirl's lies.
It may be perfect for a blonde, but I'm not that blonde. I may be in love, but I'm not stupid, lady. I've got eyes.
Shattering the mirror mirror category now with the $1,000 clue. Instead of a traditional curtain, a giant mirror reflected the audience back to themselves when they entered the theater to watch this Hal Prince directed musical. What is Cabaret? Instead of a curtain waiting to go up, when audiences entered the Broadhurst Theater in 1966, they literally saw themselves on stage reflected by a giant mirror. Hal Prince wanted the audience to feel a part of the show, to see themselves in the same tumultuous times as the characters in the musical. Prince felt that the atmosphere of pre-war Germany in the 1930s mirrored the current climate of the swinging 60s, a drug and alcohol-fueled party where minorities were being oppressed. Sadly, it seems some things never change. And the curtain call clue in the multiple movies categories for $1,000 is... This hit Broadway operetta with music by Sigmund Romberg and lyrics by Otto Harbach and Oscar Hammerstein II was adapted for the big screen in 1929, 1943, and in 1953, starring Katherine Grayson and Gordon MacRae. What is the Desert Song? The Romberg, Harbach, and Hammerstein operetta first opened on Broadway in 1926 and was a huge hit, running for 471 performances, a crazy amount of performances for the time. The operetta takes place in Saharan North Africa, a very in vogue location at the time, with stories of sheiks and Lawrence of Arabia quite popular. The musical is also an early example of a trope that would be used for decades in things like Superman, Spider-Man, and Zorro. A meek, mild-mannered man is in secret a hero who wears a mask and stops evildoers. In The Desert Song, milquetoast leading man Pierre is in fact the Red Shadow, sent to deal with desert rebels in Morocco. And with that, we've reached the final Jeopardy round, my friends. Time to tally up those scores and decide how much you want to wager in the category sort of revivals. Here we're looking at some Broadway musicals that were deemed revivals even though they had never actually played Broadway proper before. Okay, has everyone made their wagers? Gina? Ron? Tony and Michael? Okay, here is your final clue. This is the only person that appeared during the 2014 Broadway run of Hedwig and the Angry Inch that also appeared in the original off-Broadway run of the musical as well. Who is John Cameron Mitchell? John Cameron Mitchell was not only the original Hedwig, but he created the entire show along with Stephen Trask. The character of Hedwig was based on a German nanny / prostitute who worked for John Cameron Mitchell's family when he was a young boy in Kansas. Many people played the title role over the years of the show's original off-Broadway run, like Michael Cerveris and Ali Sheedy, so it was no surprise that many acclaimed performers were tapped to replace Neil Patrick Harris, who opened the 2014 Broadway production, the show's first time on Broadway proper. Darren Criss, Taye Diggs, Michael C. Hall, and others played the part, as well as John Cameron Mitchell himself, who returned to the part he created during the Broadway run to great acclaim. I happened to see him in it, and he was unbelievable. And that's this week's game! How did you all fare this week? Did you break the bank or just injure your pride? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and seeing your scores. As always, a massive, massive thank you to all my wonderful patrons over on Patreon. You guys are my favorite. If you want to be as awesome as these folks, you can check out my Patreon using the link in the video description, where there's also a link to my merch shop. If you aren't able to support the channel financially, an amazing option is to just share these videos far and wide. It really goes a long way. If you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, you can find me hanging out on Blue Sky. If you've stuck around this far in the video, I'm assuming you're a fan of Broadway Jeopardy, so tell me, what should I do to mark the big 1-year anniversary of the series? I'm not sure how to celebrate, so give me your suggestions in the comments. I'll be back next week with episode 47, but until then, I'm Mark Benani. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for playing.